Wait a minute. Y'all mean to tell me that while Tamela Mann was fighting for her life in a hospital bed, barely breathing, her own daughter was being silenced behind the scenes? Oh no, baby. This ain't just a health scare anymore. This is a full-blown gospel cover-up. Because in a shocking, tear-filled Instagram live that mysteriously vanished 20 minutes later, Tamela's daughter just dropped emotional bombshells that have the entire gospel world gasping. And guess who's at the center of the storm? David Mann, the man we thought was the perfect husband, the gospel giant, the Mr. Brown we all grew up laughing with. Now, suddenly, he's being accused of hiding Tamela's real condition from the family, making medical decisions behind closed doors, and possibly, just possibly, manipulating the public narrative while Tamela was too weak to speak for herself. Let that sink in. So, what really happened in those hospitals? Why did her daughter say, "He's not telling y'all everything"? Because this isn't just a family feud. This is a holy war behind gospel curtains. Let's get into it before this video mysteriously disappears. 2. You've got Tamela Mann, the queen of gospel vocals, laid up in a hospital bed.
Weak. Confused.
Possibly unconscious. While her family, fans, and the entire Black church community rally in prayer, everybody thinks her husband, the ever-loyal David Mann, is standing strong by her side. But behind the anointed Instagram photos and prayer hand emojis, a storm was brewing. And guess who just stepped into the eye of it? Tamela's daughter. That's right, Tamela's own flesh and blood. The woman who calls her mama, who's been by her side since day one, just took to Instagram Live and said what no one else had the courage to say. Y'all don't know what's going on, but I do.
Girl, what do you mean by that?
Because if you thought this was just a story about illness and healing, sit down. Buckle up. Grab a fan. Because apparently, the real battle wasn't just in Tamela's body, it was in her own family. Let's break down exactly what happened. It started when fans began noticing something strange. While David Mann was giving vague updates about Tamela's condition, her daughter, who's usually super active online, was quiet. No reposts. No comments. No praying hands under David's posts. Just silence. Suspicious silence. Then, out of nowhere, she went live on her Instagram. No makeup. Eyes red. Voice trembling. This wasn't a promo. This wasn't for likes. This was a woman at her limit. And her first words? "I can't do this no more. I'm tired of pretending everything's okay when it's not." She went on to say that for weeks, she's been kept in the dark about Tamela's real medical condition. That David was allegedly making decisions without consulting the family. Even Tamela's closest friends didn't know the truth. And then came the bombshell. "My mama trusted him, but I don't. Not with this. Not with her."
Phew.
The live only lasted about 17 minutes, but that was enough to turn the entire gospel world upside down. Clips started flying all over TikTok, X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook groups. The tea was spilled, and baby, it was boiling. Let's be clear, this wasn't just a daughter venting. She made allegations. She claimed David had withheld medical documents from the family. She said he shut down a second opinion that Tamela's sister had tried to arrange. She even hinted that certain medications were being pushed despite Tamela showing side effects. And when people in the comments asked why she was doing this publicly, she said, "Because privately ain't working. He won't listen. Nobody's listening." And then, poof, the live was deleted. But the damage? Already done. Fans started speculating, is David really the devoted husband we thought he was? Or is he controlling this situation like a PR machine? Let's not forget, this is the same man who's turned his family brand into a business empire.
Books, tours,
sitcoms, even their own seasoning line. So yeah, image matters to him. But if that image is being protected at the cost of truth, now we've got a problem. And it didn't stop there. That same night, Tamela's daughter posted a cryptic Instagram story, a black screen with just 3 words, "Y'all LLC."
Chilly.
Now listen, we're not here to accuse David of anything.
Yet.
But the timing, the secrecy, the sudden deletion of the live, the cryptic follow-up, it all smells like something's rotten in the gospel garden, especially when we look back at how this entire health saga started. Let's rewind. Weeks ago, Tamela started missing appearances, canceled shows, posted that eerie photo, just praying hands. No caption. Fans were already worried. Then came the leaked interview where David revealed her condition was worse than expected. Neurological issues, memory lapses, hospital stays, the works. But now we're being told that even family members didn't know how bad it really was? That's not just concerning. That's calculated. What were they hiding? And more importantly, why? Because the minute you keep information from a person's own daughter, the person who literally lived in their womb, that's not just a communication issue. That's a cover-up. Of what? That's what the streets want to know. Some sources close to the family, yes, we've got sources, say that Tamela's daughter had been trying to take a more active role in her mom's care, but was being politely blocked at every turn. Phone calls ignored, texts left on read, requests for meetings rescheduled or denied. And who is allegedly behind all of it? You guessed it, David Mann. Some say he was trying to protect Tamela's peace. Others say he was trying to control the narrative, both inside the family and in the public eye. But let's keep it 100. When a loved one is gravely ill and people start playing gatekeeper, that's a red flag wrapped in holy oil. The fans are divided. Some are siding with David, calling him a strong husband doing his best. Others, not so forgiving. One commenter wrote, "This isn't a Lifetime movie. If her daughter says something shady is going on, believe her." Another posted, "Tamela gave us her voice. The least we can do is demand truth." And now, gospel blogs, Christian gossip pages, and even ex-family employees are crawling out the shadows with stories. One anonymous ex-assistant told a YouTube gossip channel, "David's not evil, but he likes control. Always has. Especially when it comes to the brand."
The brand.
Let's not pretend that's not a real thing. Tamela and David are gospel royalty. Any scandal that hits them doesn't just hit their family, it hits their legacy, their business, their revenue. And suddenly, it all makes sense why someone might want to control the optics. But at what cost? Because now, the daughter is out here publicly grieving, publicly accusing, and being met with silence. Not a clarification, not a press statement, not even a denial. Just David posting a vague scripture to his story. "Be still and know that I am God."
Sir.
Now ain't the time to be still. Now's the time to speak. Because the people want answers. The family wants answers. And Tamela's daughter, she's out here crying for help and exposing secrets we didn't even know existed. And this is just the beginning. Because what happened next took things from messy to downright dangerous. Let's get into it in video. Friends went from no comment to "let me tell you everything." And David? Still no response. Still posting scriptures like he's running a one-man devotional instead of addressing a literal family civil war. But behind the scenes?
Phew.
It was chaos. According to sources close to the family, and we're talking inside sources here, Tamela's daughter didn't just go rogue. She had been trying for weeks to get answers, asking for medical updates, wanting to bring in her own team of specialists. But every time she tried, she got hit with, "Tamela needs rest. She's not seeing anyone today. David's handling everything."
Sweetie.
Excuse me? That's her mother. Not a meet and greet with Beyonce. Now here's where things get wild. An anonymous source, claiming to be a nurse at the rehab facility Tamela was transferred to, dropped a message into a private gospel blog's inbox. And what they said?
Chilly.
There was tension every time Mr. Mann visited. "We were told not to speak to anyone in the family except him." Even when her daughter came to visit, she wasn't allowed into certain meetings. Hold up. What do you mean wasn't allowed into meetings about her own mother's care? At that point, fans stopped sipping tea and started throwing the whole cup. The idea that David Mann, the gospel golden boy, the Mr. Brown of family-friendly sitcoms, could be pulling power plays in the middle of his wife's medical emergency, that hit differently. But we're not done yet, because then came the voicemail. One of Tamela's daughter's friends, clearly fed up with the holy hush, allegedly leaked the voicemail she received from the daughter after a particularly bad visit to the hospital. In it, the daughter is sobbing, not crying, not sniffing, sobbing. You hear her saying, "He looked me in the face and told me, 'You're not making the decisions here.' I begged him to let us try a different treatment. He said, Tamela already agreed. You weren't there." How is she agreeing to anything when she can't even remember what day it is? And boom. That was the moment the whole internet flipped. Because if what she's saying is true, that means David was allegedly making medical decisions without her mother being fully lucid or with limited family input. Fans started posting Bible verses about deception. Others started unfollowing David on social media. One person even tweeted, "This ain't Mr. Brown. This is Mr. Gaslight." Let that sink in. At this point, the gospel blogs were on fire. Every platform was posting timelines. Fans started breaking down Tamela's last few appearances, looking for clues. One TikToker even zoomed in on her eyes during a BET special, claiming she looked glassy and dazed. Another fan found an old clip from David's cooking show where he makes a joke about always being in charge of the house, and spliced it with the voicemail leak like it was a full-blown exposé. And while all this was happening, David stayed silent. No interview. No denial. No we ask for privacy. Nothing. Just more cryptic scripture posts and a black and white photo of Tamela with the caption, "She is still. She is strong. She is mine." Okay, Shakespeare. But what does that even mean? Because meanwhile, the Mann family group chat was apparently exploding.
Yep.
A cousin, who we are definitely never naming, shared with a gossip page that Tamela's siblings were livid. Some had allegedly been told the health scare wasn't that serious. Others were left out of medical discussions entirely. And now, they were realizing just how much had been hidden. One of Tamela's nieces, who had always been close to her, even went on TikTok Live and said, "They're treating this like a press tear instead of a health crisis. We love Aunt Tamela, but we don't know what's real anymore." And that hit hard. Because when your own family is saying they don't know what's real, it's no longer just family drama. It's a crisis of truth. It's no longer David versus the internet. It's David versus the Mann family. Now let's rewind to motive, because people keep asking, why would David do this? What would he gain by keeping her condition private? Well, we dug around. And honey, follow the money. Ever since Tamela's illness was revealed, the Mann brand has skyrocketed. Streams of her gospel songs went up 300%, old concert footage started trending again, their ministry donations doubled, and her gospel cookbook? Back on Amazon's top 10. Coincidence? Maybe. But if David knew the truth was darker than what the public could handle, and chose to frame it just enough to protect the image while keeping fans inspired, that's not just manipulation. That's branding in a bonnet. Meanwhile, Tamela's daughter is still MIA. No new lives. No news statements. Just one pinned tweet. Sometimes silence is survival. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Sometimes silence is survival. If that doesn't scream there's more y'all don't know, I don't know what does. And y'all already know, the internet won't rest. Now there's speculation Tamela's daughter might sit down with a certain famous gossip blogger, you know who, to do a tell-all. Sources say she's been approached by 3 YouTube channels, 1 faith-based podcast, and allegedly 2 streaming platforms about exclusive interviews. We're talking real gospel tea now, like Oprah and upper circle levels of drama. And remember, this is all still happening without any kind of real public address from David. Every day that passes, people are starting to ask, what's he hiding? Because this went from family heartbreak to media lockdown real fast. And what's wild? All of this is happening while Tamela herself still hasn't been seen. No recent photos. No videos. No statements. Her last public post? Weeks old. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. Where is Tamela? And what would she say if she knew all this was going on? Would she defend David? Would she side with her daughter? Would she call for unity? Or finally speak her truth? We don't know. But one thing's for sure. The silence is getting louder. And fans? They're tired of whispering. They want clarity. They want transparency. And if David won't give it, someone else will. Because what we're seeing now isn't just a family falling apart. It's a community waking up, a ministry under fire, and a legend's legacy hanging in the balance. And in this video, we're diving into what happens next. The media chaos, the internal family breakdown, the possible legal fallout if the allegations keep piling up, because trust me, it gets even messier. So now here we are. The Mann family's image is on the brink. The gospel community is in shambles. And fans are watching this spiritual soap opera unfold in real time, like it's the BET version of House of Cards. But buckle up, because this is the part where the fallout gets real. Let's start with the bombshell that hit just days after Tamela's daughter went silent again. A leaked hospital security report, anonymously posted in a private Reddit group for nurses, claimed that Tamela was moved out of her long-term care facility in the dead of night, without formal notice to certain family members. Wait, what?
Yeah.
According to this document, a private ambulance picked her up at 3:46 a.m. No big announcement. No discharge party. Not even a gospel playlist send-off. She was just gone. And guess who allegedly signed the paperwork? David. Now, normally, that might not be suspicious. He is the husband after all. But when paired with the claims from Tamela's daughter, this move looked like a straight-up cover-up attempt, like he was trying to get her somewhere even more private and possibly less accessible. Some fans speculated that David moved her to a private care facility in Texas, known for tight media security. Others claimed she was being treated in Atlanta by a controversial alternative medicine doctor who had previously worked with gospel celebrities trying to avoid chemo and radiation. Whatever the case, the trail went dark after that. No photos. No staff sightings. No paparazzi slip-ups. Just total blackout, which only made the internet louder. Then came the family lawyer's statement, a short, weirdly worded press release that basically said, David Mann is acting in accordance with his legal authority as Tamela Mann's spouse. All medical decisions are being made with the patient's best interest at heart. Ahem, no mention of the daughter. No reference to the Instagram Live. No explanation of the midnight transfer. Just vague legal language and more smoke than a Sunday cookout. But here's the thing, the internet is not your grandma's church choir anymore. They came ready. A self-proclaimed family advocate from TikTok did a full breakdown of power of attorney laws and whether David could legally act without the family's consent. Turns out, if Tamela signed, anything signed during her alleged neurological impairment could be legally challenged, and that's when whispers of a lawsuit began. Yes, a real legal motion was allegedly filed by Tamela's daughter, requesting access to her mother's full medical records and a review of David's decision-making authority. Fans online quickly started using the hashtag #FreedomMelon, and, once hashtags start trending, it's a wrap. Church gossip pages began posting side-by-side photos of Tamela smiling in 2021 and Tamela looking noticeably thinner and vacant-eyed in her last public video. The caption? This is what happens when the truth gets locked in a prayer closet.
Phew.
Meanwhile, other gospel celebrities, who were conspicuously silent when the story first broke, finally started speaking up. Kirk Franklin tweeted a single praying emoji followed by the words, "Some things don't add up. Truth always wins." Yolanda Adams liked a comment under Tamela's old video that said, "Protect Black women, even from their own husbands." And y'all, even Fantasia went live and said, "I've been through medical battles myself." When people start acting like they're the only voice, it's time to raise yours louder. The gospel community was cracking in real time, and the Mann empire was barely holding on. Meanwhile, fans kept asking the same question, where is Tamela's voice in all this? Is she okay? Is she even aware of the chaos? One supposed insider from the Mann family's church claimed that Tamela had been trying to record a short video message from her care bed, but that David allegedly shut it down due to her looking too fragile and not ready for public eyes. Translation? Too real for Instagram. But if you thought that was the climax, hold tight. Because just when we thought it couldn't get more twisted, a former employee of the Mann household came forward. Yep. A woman claiming to be their ex-house manager dropped a 25-minute video to YouTube titled, "What I Saw Working for the Manns," It wasn't all God and glory, girl.
Phew.
She claimed David had always been territorial about Tamela, controlling her schedule, her diet, her business meetings, and even what events she could attend without him. She claimed Tamela would sometimes drift off mid-conversation during 2023 meetings, and that her health concerns were being spun into excuses for missed gigs. Even worse, she claimed Tamela once tried to fire her, only to have David overrule it and say, "I'll handle it.
You stay."
Suddenly, people began to wonder, was this really about health? Or was this about control? Tamela's daughter posted just one more message during all this chaos, a single black and white photo of her and Tamela holding hands with the caption, "I just want her back." And that broke the internet all over again. Because now, this wasn't just about a health condition. It was about loss. About grief before goodbye. About a family at war over a woman who gave her life to gospel, but whose own voice had been muted. Still no statement from David. No update. No video. No apology. Just another scripture post. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts, sir. Respectfully, this ain't about peace. It's about accountability. Because fans aren't buying the silence anymore. They want to hear from Tamela. They want answers about her daughter's claims. They want transparency. And most of all, they want to know if this iconic gospel queen is being protected or being controlled. Because the deeper the story gets, the more it feels like this wasn't just a health battle. It was a power struggle in disguise. And when the church community turns against you, when your daughter cries out to the world, when your own staff starts spilling tea, that's not a test. That's Judgment Day. And unless David Mann finally steps forward and speaks the truth, the legacy they built together might not survive the silence. And there you have it, folks. A gospel legacy cracked wide open. A daughter crying out. A husband hiding